Hey guys, welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. I have some more information on the C8 mid-engine Corvette that I've come across, as well as some new renderings that I'd like to show you. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so first let's talk about some new renderings I came across. These ones were found on the Corvette forum, as well as a couple different places on Google. These ones are somewhat of the most sleek looking renderings I've seen yet, and it's starting to get to the point where I could see the car looking a lot like this. So honestly, this is one of the nicer looking ones I've seen, and it really gives it more of a Corvette-esque look, if you ask me. And honestly, if it came out and looked something like this, it wouldn't be a bad thing, in my opinion. This one here, obviously done by the same person. The rear end is still, to me, it's still leaving something to be desired. I'll touch on it a little later in the video here, but I found a couple of the earlier on CAD drawings for the C8 Corvette, and the taillights that are shown here. The ones in the CAD images looked a good bit different and showed a lot more of a 3D look to them. So I don't think the taillights are going to look anything like that particularly, but overall the rear end of this car, even in the camo that they showed on the track a couple times, there's just something not right about it as far as I'm concerned. Now this side view, again, done by the same person. It looks pretty good. I mean, honestly, it looks just like the car does under the camo, only it's got some paint on it and everything. The only thing that stands out to me, obviously, is the wheels are from this new ZR1. It looks like the calipers and the rotors are as well. So odds are good. This is exactly just that. It's just a rendering, and there's no actual new information being released on these. Now here is the CAD image that was released actually a couple months ago, or leaked I guess, and it actually shows the tail light. And you can see it has quite a bit of a 3D look to it. There's a lot of cuts in and out on it, and it does in fact wrap around the side of the car like a lot of the earlier on renderings have shown. But none of the taillights that I've seen on any of the renderings actually look like this with the cuts and the 3D look and everything. So it will be interesting to see what these actually end up looking like. Here's another CAD image that was released a while ago showing a twin turbocharged mid-engine layout style engine that GM obviously leaked, or someone did. And honestly, looking at this, you can easily tell it's for a mid-engine car, and it also looks a lot like that Cadillac engine that was released not too long ago. So even if it is specifically a Cadillac engine, what we're looking at here is likely to be something that is either released alongside or possibly shortly after or even shortly before the mid-engine Corvette on the Cadillac side. Now here's an image that Car Scoops actually put out, and on their website they're actually saying that this is not just a rendering, but it actually says on their website this is what it's gonna look like. I'll actually link the website in the description down below, but it literally says, the title of it is literally, this is what it will look like and what else to expect. Now again, the first thing I'm noticing here is ZR1 rims with the ZR1 calipers and rotors as well. So it's unlikely that this is exactly what it's going to look like, but it's definitely an attention-grabbing title whenever you think they're telling you this without a doubt, this is what it's going to look like. Now it is an interesting looking rendering. It looks pretty nice. It's starting to get more and more and more towards the aesthetically pleasing look on these renderings. So I mean, I definitely don't have any complaints as far as that goes, but it's going to be interesting to see how this thing comes out, because there's been so many different renderings, so much different information out there, that by the time this thing actually comes out, it might not look like anything that we've seen yet. So it's going to be interesting. Now this picture here is a picture that someone drew after they supposedly saw the interior of the car. I saw this about a month ago, and I didn't really want to put it in any of the videos because there is zero credibility to this. There really isn't any guarantee that it's going to look anything like this. The person who drew it doesn't necessarily have really good credibility on any of the Corvette forums or anything, so take this with a grain of salt. But so far, this is what the early on drawing looked like, and then someone actually did a rendering based on that, and this is what it looks like. Now, to me, as soon as I saw this, right off the bat, I'm noticing, okay, this is just the C7 interior with a couple things stretched out and a bigger center stack added in there. And honestly, that's exactly what it is. There is nothing here showing that it's going to 100% look like this, but it is an interesting rendering because some of the early spy shots, which I'll show right here, actually show the center stack in a layout. Even though you can't see anything because everything's covered up, you can see a larger center stack there. So it really does look like the center stack at least could have a lot of those buttons and the push button starter and everything Huracan style. So that rendering is not necessarily completely wrong, but it's definitely just a C7 interior with a few things stretched out. So again, like I said, I'd take it with a grain of salt, but it is interesting to start seeing some of the interior stuff being rendered as well. Now, while we're on the talk of interiors, I actually came across a website that claims to have inside information, and they quote-unquote know that GM is going to be developing the C8 mid-engine Corvette with right-hand drive options. Now, that is pretty interesting considering the C7, the C6, pretty much all of the Corvettes have not sold overly well overseas because of the fact there is no right-hand drive option. To move from the left-hand side to the right-hand side for overseas, it would take a lot of engineering, a lot of extra research and development, so GM decided not to do it. Now, with the mid-engine, there's nothing up front. There's nothing really to stop them from moving that over to the other side because there's, the engine's not there. There's not a bunch of things involved in doing it. So it's a little easier in this aspect to move it from left to right-hand side. Plus, GM is obviously going with a Euro, quote-unquote, Euro-style car here, and they're going to want to sell it in the European markets as well. And in order to do that, a right-hand drive option pretty much has to be available, or people aren't going to want to do that. This is interesting to me because obviously with the design and everything of this car, they're obviously trying to go after a European market, but this is the first time that they've actually possibly designed the car specifically for going after a European market. And with the right-hand drive availability option, it really seems like that's what they're going to do. Now, another interesting thing I read again is rumors saying that Chevy is going to continue to design and create the C7 alongside the C8. Now, this is something that's been touched on a couple times before, but it never made a lot of financial sense to me as to why GM would want to do that. But there are people who, again, claim to be inside on this whole operation that are saying that, yes, Chevy is going to continue to produce the C7 along with the C8. Now, I like the idea because they are two fairly different styles of Corvette, but at the same time, financially, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But, I obviously don't run a large car business like GM does, so I can't say for sure. And like I said, I like the idea, but it just didn't make financial sense to me. But again, I don't claim to be a specialist on this, so it would be nice to see because it really is going to keep that quote-unquote magic for some people alive with the front engine, rear drive Corvettes being available alongside the mid-engine. Either way, this car is starting to shape up to really be something special, and every time I see a new rendering, it gets nicer and nicer. So I'm still very anxious to see what this car ends up looking like when it comes out because, like I said in all my previous videos, I'd love to love this car. And every rendering that we get, I get closer to it. So hopefully we keep moving in a positive direction with this because all the information coming out really is starting to shape up into something big. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked the video, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and shoot them down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next upload.